Hi guys, so we're going to can these potatoes. And it's going to take me a major long time to peel all those potatoes. So I have decided to get started today, and I'm going to set up in my house, watch some TV, and peel. As I go, I'll binge watch something. So because I'll be peeling them, and you know, this could take a couple days worth, I've decided to go ahead and follow the USDA Home Guide to Canning directions and put some citric acid into my container that I'll put my peeled potatoes into so they don't discolor. Those I peeled with that brush real quick. If you watched my last video, you saw that. So they recommend, let's see, you can do this for any kind of a vegetable or fruit, so even like apples and pears and stuff. So in the pure powdered form, it's available, yada yada yada. 1 level teaspoon is about 3 grams. Use 1 teaspoon per gallon. And a gallon is about 4 quarts, so just shy of 5 liters. So we're going to do, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4 gallons worth, because I bet I get 4 gallons worth of potatoes since I've got 65 pounds. So I'm going to go ahead and add this in. One, 2, 3, 4. Now the directions don't really say how many days it's going to keep it from oxidizing, so this should be interesting to find out. So I'm going to go ahead, fill this up, take it inside the house. Then I'm going to rinse my potatoes off vigorously and then let them drip dry in my huge colander. And then I'll take that on the house, and then I will start peeling. If you got nothing to do over the next few days, you want to come over and help me peel some potatoes, I'd love it. Alright, onward. Got my peeling station set up. Water and coffee, my laptop. Alright, so remember, you got nothing to do, come on over and we'll get started. Hi guys, so it's the next morning now, and I peeled and quartered all kinds of potatoes, or not quartered, I mean cut into small bits, all kinds of potatoes yesterday, Norland Reds, Yukon Golds, fingerlings. Just about 16 quarts exactly. So I have 16 quarts of jars in my dishwasher right now. And yeah, let's just take a look at these. This is the size that I like because I use these generally for home fries, hash browns, kind of a thing. Love them. Now what I'm supposed to do, another change from how I processed this last time, is now I'm supposed to heat these up. So back over to our home canning book. So we put them in the ascorbic acid solution, or sorbic, I never, in the ascorbic, okay, whatever. Cut into cubes if you want, drain, so I need to drain those. Cook for 2 minutes in boiling water and drain again. Then I can start canning them. So if I truly have 16 quarts, there's no way I'm going to get these in a regular canner, so dun dun dun. The All-American 941, the Big Daddy canner, is going to be our canner for today. Here's the lid with the model number. So this is actually a 41 quart canner, so that's something we could talk about for a second. So what does that mean? That means that the canner itself holds 41 fluid quarts. If you put water in there, it would hold 41 quarts. But how many quarts does it actually use for canning? So I just pulled this up. Hopefully I don't get dinged for this. So here's the capacity. It'll hold inside in jars 32 pint or 19 quarts. I'm going to have to stack those, I'm pretty sure. And I do have the ability to do that. So I'm going to start getting my stuff ready, and we'll come back and start canning. Alright. Alright, so finally we got those potatoes up to the boil. 2 minutes. I got my the Big Daddy here waiting to go on to the hot plate. This takes about 6 quarts of water rather than your usual 3 quarts because it's a big mama jama. I've got my hot water heating up on the back burner because I need to add that to the jar. So after this boils for 2 minutos, I'm straining it in the strainer, and then I will take the jars out of the dishwasher. I will fill the jars and then top them with hot water. Then I will wipe the rims with vinegar solution. I'll use this to fill the jars, and I'll put them here actually because I like to be able to do that. And then I've got my lids and rings that have been warmed up. I know I don't need to do that anymore. However, I like to do it. Woof-ha! So, okay, we're done. I'm going to turn that off. Word of warning. I've got that 16 ounces or 16 quarts of potatoes, and now I've got water in here. This weighs about 50 pounds at this point. This by itself weighs 33 pounds. When it's full of jars, full of the pint, or the quart jars, excuse me, which weigh 2 pounds each, plus the weight of this and the water and stuff in the bottom, this is going to be about 100 pounds. So when you're using your stovetop, take all this into consideration. I can carry this over to the sink and dump it. That's not going to be a problem. I'm not going to be able to lift this when it's full. So I've strategically planned which hot plate I'm going to put it on. I'm going to put it on that one. I'm going to leave it there. And my oven, or excuse me, my stovetop can support it. If you have a glass top, ceramic top, that's when you're going to want to reconsider what size canner you have and really think about the poundage. But this hot steaming mass here now has to get drained before those potatoes all cook off. But I'm not going to embarrass myself by having you watch me do it. But if I can't safely do it, I'm going to go get my husband, who is a bodybuilder, and he can lift that and move it easily. So let's go. Alright, so I picked it up and then I immediately put it down. It was too scary. So stand it up for me, and that was good. Very nice of him. And now I'm going to heat up the rest of the water, and we're going to get the jars going and start canning finally. Alright, you guys, so we're going to go through one of these together. It's not very complicated, but there are a lot of steps, right? So first thing I do is I take a very hot jar out of the dishwasher. Let's have you come over here for a second. So I've got hot potatoes, I've got hot water, I've got hot lids. All this stuff is really hot, so keep that in mind. Remember, too, that moving quickly means moving slowly, right? Does that make sense? If you move fast and you mess something up, that's going to take twice as much time as just moving slowly and steadily. You're not in a huge hurry. It doesn't have to be done in 30 seconds or less. You may notice that I'm using a small mouth jar, and I'm doing that because I can get the potatoes in there easily. And I like big mouth jars for so many things that if I can use a small mouth jar, happy to do it. Alright, so you saw that. You saw me give these a little tappity tap. We're going for 1 inch of headspace, and that means filling it to this ring right here. Again, I say this all the time, but please forgive my hands. I literally sand my hands down to get rid of all the stuff that's in there, and it still won't go away. So it's just part of growing what you eat, right? I still wish somebody would make a frickin' pitcher that would pour without shit going everywhere. Alright, that's between me and Pyrex. Alright, so hot water up to that line, which is about 1 inch. Headspace. Debubble. You can see we got some droppage there, but that's okay. It's not too much. I'm going to just remove a potato or two. And also remember, we're pressure canning these, so everything is going to become sterile here in a minute. So I'm going to take my cloth, vinegar water, clear vinegar. Then I'm going to, here's that hot water I just used. I'm going to take out a lid and a ring. Back to here. Top goes on, ring goes on. You're not reefing it down, you're just going fingertip tight. And now we are going to carry this over to the gigantic canner and put it in here. This water is heating up as we're doing this. And by the time we get pretty close to being done, it should be steaming. So that's how you do it. You can put salt in the jars. A lot of people put salt in their jars. I know that I'm going to season these heavily when I use them. And maybe somebody's on a salt restricted diet, or maybe I don't want a salty flavor. Maybe I want another flavor. So I know a lot of people like salt for flavoring. Knock yourself out. It's totally optional. But let me share this little bit of information with you. My husband and I are both average American citizens. Well, maybe not average. But we don't add much salt to our canning and to our food ventures, and both of us have been told by our doctors to increase our salt intake. Can you believe it? And we're on a well, so we have a water softener. But we don't get enough salt in our diet naturally. And this is one of the reasons why. That's too much. Alright, so I tap that down. Now we're going to add hot water. You'll hear me complain again about this. I mean, that end, I wish it just, you know, can you see how it's pouring off the bottom? Ugh! Maybe I need a tea kettle or something. Alright, that's a little bit more than 1 inch of headspace. Potatoes float too, so I don't want them to crowd the top. That's one reason why you may not get a seal if it says 1 inch headspace and then you're, you know, only giving it a ½ inch or something. Oh, debubble. And this is how you do it. Over and over. So I should get around 16 of these. I heated up enough jars for 19. Yep, that's perfect. Alright, so this is the last one we'll do together. And now I'll take it over. And then I will just continue to do the rest on my own. And then you can see how it comes out in the end. Don't start putting these in side by side like 1, 2, 3, you know, like that. Try to do like a star pattern. So the next one will go here, then here, and then here, and then there, and then we'll put a rack on and go up one more height. Guys, I'm going to show you that I've got this whole first level full. I've got 9 quarts in there. Quarts, not pints. And now we're going to go to level 2. So I just put my rack in, and it's got these little feet on it here. And just to make sure that they don't touch anything, everything is pretty much centered. And I'm going to now go to the second level and start stacking. You may think, hey, old school, that jar is taller than the canner. What the heck? But that's why this is a domed lid. So we can take those extra jars on the second rack. This is the largest pressure canner for home use that I personally know of, unless you go into the commercial canning world. And this is exactly the reason why. But I'll come back and show you when it's full. Then we'll see how many potatoes we have left. So we're doing pretty good, but we still have a lot of potatoes in there. Alright, I'll get back to work and shut up now. Alright, you guys, so I've got a full vessel now. So I have 9 below, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 quarts, which isn't bad because we thought we'd get 16. I do actually have a ½ a quart, or a pint. That's out, and I will just use that to eat some dinner in the near future. Here is something I should have done before I began this process, and that is because the All-American canners do not have a gasket. It's customary to put olive oil or some other slick oil or lard or tallow or something, that whatever you like, on the top lip here. Sometimes these can get stuck, and if the lid gets stuck, I'll show you a trick, an easy trick how to unstuck it. But notice that this label's on the front, and there is a scoop here. I like to mark things, so I mark that with a red grease pencil. The reason I did that is because the lid has an arrow, which I also marked. Actually, I think it's nail polish, truthfully. So the lid goes on, and you'll see we've got these catches and then these flip-up bolts that need to get tightened down. So I put this on like that, and now we need to line them up. Make sure it's not too hot. So there, that lined them up. And now we start, actually it's a little too much. I keep a handy dandy screwdriver in here for just this situation, so you can see these aren't exactly lined up, right? This is a little bit to the left of this, so I over-corrected. So I'm just going to do that. And the trick, if happens, if you take all these off and you can't get them to remove, all you do is put a flat screwdriver, is lift it and lift it. So now what we're going to do is that same star technique. I'm going to move you up is what I'm going to do. Video on how to use pressure canners. So I'm screwing down this one and this one at the same time, opposites. Good tight. Tight enough where I can get it off. Again, opposites. Sometimes you might have to undo them a little bit. Tight down. This one and this one. Usually right around the same time, at the same speed. It's not back far enough. There we go. And then finally, this one and this one. All right. So this is a dial gauge canner with a weight. So for this recipe, oh, geez, sorry. For this recipe, I need to bring it up to 10 pounds, and then I will put my 10-pound weight on the vent. So right now what we're doing is we're waiting for this to start venting steam. It's just starting, but when it gets a steady stream, 10 minutes, steady stream, then I put the weight on at 10 pounds. 10 pounds. There. And then we wait until this gets up to about 11 pounds, and then we process for however long, which I will look into whilst this comes to temperature. Alright, so my 40-minute timer went off. That's how long I was supposed to process the potatoes. You can see I'm still almost up to temperature focus. Anyway, I'm going to leave the vent cap on, the weight on, until the gauge drops down to 0, and then I will do a little test removal, and if it's still venting, I just put that right back on and leave it. This is a huge canner, like I've said several times before. It'll take a full few hours to cool down now. So it's off, my gas is off, it is just cooling. I'm in no hurry now. Now I can leave the house, I can do whatever I want. And when I get back I can pull the weight off. So I'm going to actually end up letting this sit probably for 3 hours or more before I really get the lid off of it, because once I take that off, it is still venting. I'll come back in a little bit.